Welcome to See You on the Other Side, where the world of the mysterious collides with the world of entertainment. A discussion of art, music, movies, spirituality, the weird, and self-discovery. And now, your hosts, musicians and entertainers who have their own weakness for the weird, Mike and Wendy from the band Sunspot.
It's Mike and Allison are in Madison. And Wendy, where are you, by the love of God?
I'm in Livermore, California, where it's beautiful. It's 90 degrees outside and sunny every day. No rain. Just California sunshine all day long.
That sounds
Isn't
nice.
that where they have that big laser at the university? You should check it out.
The what?
They have some kind of big laser there at Livermore, Lawrence Livermore University.
That sounds fun.
Yes, go check it out. It's for Space Wars.
Perhaps I'll have to do some exploring before I leave tomorrow. So
Yes, you're gonna have to find the laser because it's blowing up a satellite as we speak.
It should be easy to find, you would think, huge laser like that. Space weapon.
wait till it's dark out and then just look for the laser.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled.
But yeah, I'm in California. I'm in auntie heaven visiting my nieces and my brother and his wife. So that's a happy place to be. And I just ran a half marathon yesterday here.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Well, actually not here, but in Oakland. So that was fun. And Oakland is about 30 degrees cooler than Livermore. So that was
Because it's closer to the ocean.
the bay. It's the bay effect. Yeah, exactly. And that was absolutely perfect for running. So
Okay.
it was quite enjoyable.
All right, so you had your own Olympics in
Basically,
Livermore.
yeah.
And I saw on Facebook, so you won the race.
I won the race.
Yeah, no, it looked like you made it to the end, and you looked happy and everything, and
There
so
was
you
the
won.
Chariots of Fire theme.
There was, and she won the California half marathon yesterday. I was really proud.
I did. No, I didn't win. I did earn a medal, so that was good.
Okay.
So I felt like an Olympian because, I had a big hunk of metal that I had hanging around my neck. So that was cool.
And this is your third half marathon, too.
Yes, it is indeed. So I've now
Okay.
completed the Golden State half series. I've done all three in this series of half marathons. So I got a special medal for that. So now I'm done with half marathons forever.
And just moving on to full marathon. Now that you've done the trifecta of the California, now you're going to become the marathon champion of Milwaukee.
Well, if by champion you mean attempter, yes.
I think if you finish a marathon, you're a champion. And
Well, I sure hope I do it then. In that
I
case,
think you're going to be a champion.
I want to be a champion.
Yes.
I'll try.
So
hard.
that's fun. So Wendy's working on her physical fitness.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. And we're
How's-
going to be talking about spiritual fitness today, aren't we?
Yeah.
Spiritual fitness.
How's everything
That's
back in
pretty good.
Wisconsin? Last time I was there, we were playing at the state fair, and I was a glutton. I ate so much of the state fair food that I had a stomach ache for a day afterwards. It was pretty horrible.
Yeah, I felt pretty disgusting. On Thursday after, we had an extra piece of pizza on the way out, too. As Ben and I, our guitar player, Wendy was with her sister, and so Ben and I were coming back to Madison, and as we were on the way out, Ben's like, "We probably should get an extra piece of pizza," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right."
Well, you did better than me because someone handed us a dozen coupons for free cream puffs. So I went back to the well, so to speak, and had not
Nice.
one but two cream puffs, which in and of itself is enough to hurt a person.
Yes.
But on top of the other stuff, it was like a 1-2 punch.
Allison, did you eat like a glutton this week at all?
Did I? Well, I do love pizza.
Okay.
I cannot deny that.
Any other the deadly sins that you engage in?
Gluttony. Sometimes, yes, I will eat a whole pizza.
Yeah.
And as I've found through my research into local possessions, that can be enough for the devil to possess
It
you.
does.
Is, living in sin like I do with pizza.
Well, sometimes when I do the deadly sin of gluttony, it does feel like the devil possesses me.
Yes.
Well, thank goodness we're in
and
a
there,
judgment-free zone here on See You
It
on the
is.
other side.
and
That's right.
the sulfur smell accompany those times, Mike.
It certainly
See
does.
further evidence of demonic possession.
The sulfur smell. That was the song we wrote last week for our conversation with Mary Marshall.
It was called the sulfur smell.
It was just called sulfur.
Somebody light a match.
Light a match. So, okay. State Fair was a lot of fun. Allison's having fun. Wendy ran a half marathon like a true athlete, and I laid around most of the weekend. But now we're moving on to talk about something near and dear to our hearts that we have not confronted yet, and that's exorcism.
That's right. We have talked about Old Scratch some on the podcast.
Oh, man. There's been plenty of devil.
Yeah, we've definitely touched on it. We've touched on exorcism in a number of episodes, but we've never done like a full-blown
Exorcism episode.
Yes.
We're going to delve in deep today.
To
Right.
an exorcism that happened not very far away from where we are right now. Isn't that correct?
Right. So I'm preparing for my conference presentation for the Milwaukee Paranormal Conference. My presentation actually kicks it off on Saturday, October 15th.
Yay! I'm so
Yay.
excited
Right.
for that.
Kicking
Yeah.
off the Milwaukee Paranormal
Yeah.
Conference.
So it's Milwaukee Forteana 2.
Okay.
And my research has taken a decidedly devilish turn. You know, I did not think that there would be so much stuff. It's like it's taking over the presentation. You know, certainly I'm presenting on other things as well. It's all manner of Forteana. But I was just shocked when I started down this rabbit hole. I didn't realize how deep it was.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you go with the devil, you go deep.
Yeah, so I am so surprised by how much material I've found locally regarding possession and exorcism. I had
Yeah.
no idea. And I even found that
So Wisconsin, we're talking about.
yes, we're
here.
talking about
So Wisconsin is like an exorcism hotbed, would you say?
I would say so.
That
I
oh,
was like,
man.
what?
Who
had
knew?
no
The land
idea.
of cheese.
I
Yeah.
had no idea. And even the Roman ritual,
Mm-hmm.
which is the text that the exorcists use,
Yeah.
it is full of prescribed prayers for exorcisms. Well, of course, you know, when a person is exorcised, you know, it's not a cookie cutter thing.
Right. So
know,
you can instead of saying the power of Christ compels you, you can say other things like go with God or JC's on your side or
well, whatever is going to make sense for the person is personalized to the possessed. But
like slap five with
the
Smiling
Roman
Josh.
ritual is a resource that you use, which has some prescribed prayers, which are always used, which are standard.
Are there any of the standard prayers like the Hail Marys in there or anything?
Well,
or
I
the
haven't
Our
read.
Father?
I haven't read the Roman ritual yet,
Okay.
but I will as part of my conference preparation.
You know, I gave you that as a book.
No, you didn't.
I gave you a
You
book
g-
on
you gave me,
exorcism by Father Malachi
Hostage
Martin.
to the Devil.
Yes, and
but the whole ritual isn't in there. It's a big book.
But the Roman
actually.
ritual's in there.
I don't think the whole thing is in there.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm going to compare that with what's at the Milwaukee Public Library.
When do you remember Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell? Don't you remember Art
Well,
Bell?
of course.
Okay. Now there's this guy that used to be on Art Bell. I gotta say this is why we love exorcisms, and you know why I didn't even think it was a real thing after the movie and stuff. But Art Bell used to have a guy named Malachi Martin, Father
Yes.
Malachi Martin, and he was the guy that said that the devil's everywhere. We gotta
Right.
exorcise.
Everyone.
And he was
Yes.
he was just like, watch out for the devil. And he was just the prototypical like priest afraid of the devil and heavy metal, and he
Right.
would see Satan everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he wrote this book called Hostage to the Devil, which you gave me as a Christmas present one year.
What a nice
Secret
brother.
Santa.
Yeah, when we open our Christmas presents, you see some weird things.
That's right.
But anyway, getting back to the Roman ritual, I did not realize that the first comprehensive English translation was actually published in Milwaukee.
What?
Okay, so
Yeah.
the
So-
first translation of the Roman ritual published in English was published right in Cream City,
That's right.
Brewtown, USA.
I mean, that just really shocked me.
Milwaukee.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the exorcisms that I've been researching. There are many, many more that I was really surprised to find. But I'm just going to talk
Okay.
about the first one that I found, which, hey, there may be earlier ones because, Wisconsin became a state in 1848. But the first one I could find was about 1870.
Okay,
And the possessed was named Carl Seige
Carl.
from Watertown, Wisconsin.
So Watertown is about, I would say, a half an hour from where we are right now.
Now, this is one rare case where we actually know the name of the possessed.
Okay.
it's usually kept pretty secret. But I think what happened is Carl Seige, just had all these maladies that he was seeking relief from, and he didn't
That's a pretty tough name too.
Yeah, well, he's under siege by the devil.
Carl Seige.
He's under siege by the devil, of course. So he didn't go to the Catholic Church first. He went to other people to try to get relief. And then from that, I mean, the Catholics take it seriously. If you tell them you believe you're possessed, they don't go public with it. In fact, they keep it under wraps. They keep it confidential. So
yeah, well, we know the Catholic Church is really good at keeping things confidential. If we've seen that Spotlight movie.
All right.
Well,
but
people don't want it to be known. They don't want everyone to run from them. Like, they want to still be able to have friends and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's important in this case to keep it confidential, but that makes the research that I'm doing a little bit more challenging. But with Carl Seige, his name was let out in several newspaper articles starting in 1868. Now, his actual exorcism through the Catholic Church didn't start till later. So in 1868, the first news story that came forward about the teenager Carl Seige, who was about 18 years old, then, is that he had these digestive troubles, and
he had too much heat at the state fair.
It was found that he had a lizard in his stomach.
What?
Yes, or at least that was reported.
Definitely cause a stomach ache.
Where do you even find a lizard around here?
Which just reminds me of so many horror movies. The idea that you are infested by some kind of unclean creatures, which falls right in line with the whole idea of being possessed.
Yeah, it does. Well, a lizard, when you think about Satan, as I often do,
right?
You're always thinking about the fact that Satan was first represented by the snake tempting Eve in the Garden of Eden. So it would make sense that Carl's going to have a lizard in his belly.
Right.
Not a ton of sense, but it makes some sense.
And then in 1869, it was reported that there was a First Nations doctor. He was actually from the Stockbridge tribe, and his name was Dr. Quinney, and he tried to cure Carl.
Wait, hold on a second. I know First Nations, so he's a Native American.
Yes.
But the thing is, Dr. Quinney.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the name.
So there was a Dr. Quinney medicine man.
Awesome.
You guys are picking up what I'm putting down. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh yeah.
I know you're a big Jane Seymour fan.
Who's not?
but anyway, yeah, I believe it was Dr. Quinney. Now I'm going to go back and check because I'm like, how TV poisons our minds.
It does poison our minds.
We've dealt with that in prior episodes. Anyway, so this doctor tried to cure Carl by putting poultices on him to draw out the evil.
Okay, what's a poultice?
Well, it's just like
Vicks Vapo Rub.
Kind of.
Okay.
Well, it's like an herbal concoction that you put on a wound and then you bandage it up. And some poultices, you have herbs and you put it on and then it'll draw out poisons.
Sure.
So that's what this doctor did.
Like what kind of herbs? Like the Kentucky Fried Chicken?
We don't know.
Okay.
It's a secret.
It's a secret, like the Colonel's recipe.
Now, so when the poultices were removed, these strange colored fibers emerged from Seige's skin.
Whoa.
What does that remind you of, Mike? Come on, you talked about Coast to Coast.
Oh, I don't know. I can't think of it right now.
Well, there's this obscure disease called Morgellons.
Oh my God! Yes,
have you heard of that?
I have heard of it a little bit, but why don't you get in depth a little bit because Morgellons is disgusting.
Okay, so Morgellons is these people are reporting these strange maladies, and the hallmark of it though is that they'll have wounds on their skin which have some weird fibers coming out of them. It looks like thread is coming out of your skin.
Yeah. Okay. And
like it's growing out of you.
And somebody famous had it too, right?
Yeah, Joni Mitchell has reportedly said that she has Morgellons.
Okay, so Carl Seige, let's sum it up real quick.
I mean, Morgellons has been disputed, let's say that. But I was just shocked when I saw that about the multicolored fibers coming out of his skin because I was like, oh my God, I'm making connections here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But Carl was having trouble before he came even to the United States?
Okay, so yes. So the problem started in Germany, his home. And
Deutschland.
So what happened was, everything was wonderful on his family's farm. And then suddenly his little sister found something interesting at the base of a tree. And she picked it up and she took it out to show her family. And it was a duck egg that had a little pinhole in it. And she was playing with it. And the mother, upon seeing it, immediately said, "Get rid of that. Get rid of it now." But it was too late. So she threw it aside.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Why would the mother freak out about a duck egg with a pinhole in it? Because to me, I'd be like, hey, look, a duck egg, and some animal stuck its tooth in there before it realized it couldn't break the, or am I using 21st century standards to judge a 19th century
Probably, yeah.
25-year-old woman?
Well, it seemed mysterious.
Okay.
And we'll get into what it might have been.
Okay.
Because a demon talked about it later on during the possession during the exorcism.
Oh, okay. Oh, and the thing is, it was a duck egg. It wasn't a lizard egg, right?
No, it was a duck egg. And it had this weird pinhole in it. And she was just fascinated with it. And her mom's like, get rid of that thing. Kind of like our mom would be.
Sure.
What are you touching that for?
Sure, but if we touched like a cat or something like that, our mother would be like, oh, God, don't touch that cat.
Right, exactly.
It'll give you feline AIDS.
So anyway, the kid throws it aside, and then the dog immediately snaps it up and eats it. And the dog goes crazy and has to be shot.
Oh, man.
And the little girl wastes away and dies shortly after.
Sad. That's terrible.
Now, Carl, I don't think he even touched the egg, but he, of course, came in contact with his sister, and his trouble started then.
Okay.
These weird, tremors and seizures, and he became crippled on one side of his body, where that side, his arm and leg barely worked, and they kind of shrunk away, and that was the initial sign that something was wrong.
Yeah, I would say something's wrong.
Absolutely. And then they moved to Wisconsin to try to get away from that trouble, but they weren't able to leave it behind.
All right.
So they finally went to the Catholic Church in 1870, and the exorcism of Carl Seige was actually approved by the Bishop of Milwaukee at that time, John Martin Henney, who would later become the Archbishop of Milwaukee, and he was the founder of Marquette University.
Oh, so the founder of Marquette University, where people make legal decisions and stuff like that, believed in exorcism.
Yes.
Okay,
so,
just want to get that out there.
Right, because you have to get a bishop's approval through the Catholic Church to perform an exorcism. There's certain tests that have to be done to make sure the person is not under a mental illness, to make sure it's really an authentic case of demonic possession. And Carl Seige met those 4 signs of possession, which we'll talk about. So he met the signs. You don't have to have all 4 signs. You just have to have a couple of them.
Okay, so I want you guys.
He met those criteria.
I want you guys to listen close, because a lot of people are they'll say to things like, because Wendy and I are on Twitter all the time, and we're talking to people. And Wendy, do you ever get people say to you like, "I think I'm possessed"?
Actually, no, I haven't gotten one of those yet.
Okay, I've gotten about 6.
Wow.
Where people say
Holy
like,
cow.
"I think I was possessed," or "I think I'm possessed," or my brother.
Now I'm going to get him.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of people contact me who believe they're getting messages from the other side, or,
Oh.
seeing paranormal things, supernatural things perhaps, but I haven't yet had a possession confession.
Okay, well, wait for them, because now you can. This is what you can get. So when somebody comes to you, and this is what the Catholics use, the officials of possession, like the OG possession people. These are the 4 signs of possessions. So Allison, tell us the 4 signs, and let's see how Carl met them.
Well, essentially, like I said, you don't have to meet every single one, but essentially what you're looking for is psychic powers.
Okay, so
yeah, that's what you're looking for in a nutshell, or in a duck shell, a duck egg shell.
Oh.
Number 1 is knowing the unknowable. So right there, psychic information coming to you in their minds, in the Catholic mind, it's coming to you through the demon. It's not your own mind.
Okay.
And so Carl did this in several ways, and one of the things was he was exorcised several times, and one of the exorcisms, or one of the people, I should say, that exorcised him several times was the Father John. Oh, this is a hard name. I don't know if it's minor, because it starts with a G, if the G is silent, or Germiner. I'm just going to call him I'm just going to call him Father John.
No, we're going to call him Father Geminer.
Call him, all right, Father Geminer. I'm sorry if that's wrong.
Because his aunt makes some really good syrup.
Oh my gosh. So Father
God,
John.
the softballs keep on coming today.
I know. Geminer. He was actually a professor at St. Francis Seminary in St. Francis, Wisconsin.
Hey, I've been there.
And he went to exorcise Carl Seige and actually wrote about his exorcisms of Carl in his 1886 book called Spirits of Darkness.
Oh man, I want to read that book.
Yeah, it's really a great book. Anyway, so what he found is that when he went to go meet Carl, it was planned, but Carl hadn't been given advance notice as to who was coming and when they were coming, and travel plans changed as they often do. And but
especially when it's like horse and buggy and stuff like that. Too.
Absolutely.
Like these guys just couldn't jump in like the Corolla and come over.
It's the 1800s. And so Father Geminer and another exorcist, another priest were meeting near Carl's home. And then they had just both arrived. It was like 10 o'clock at night.
Sure.
And
so
then
it's late for a priest.
Here comes Carl down the street. And he's like, oh.
Now, did Carl still have that problem with his arms shriveling and things like that? Okay. So he's not like he's running at him or anything like that, because Carl's not much of an athlete like Wendy.
No, he's just kind of shambling down the street.
Okay.
Like that inescapable zombie.
Right. So Carl Seige is shambling towards Father Geminer and Father Geminer's aunt.
Well, this other exorcist.
Oh, okay, right.
Anyway, so he gets there and he says that the demon, the one inside me, as he referred to him, the one inside me was upset that you guys were coming and told me when you'd be here.
Okay, so he met them before.
Yeah, and he lived like a mile and a half away from where they were. Oh, so and they're just arriving late at 10 o'clock at night. He's in the dark, comes ambling down the street. Weird. Or not ambling, shambling. And he was like, I knew you would be here. And so that's one example of knowing the unknowable.
Okay, that's the first sign of possession. Okay, so Carl met that one.
So number 2 is speaking or understanding unlearned languages. So the uneducated Carl Seige, he never went to school. So it was a surprise when he understood the questioning of the priest. And questioning is a very important part of the exorcism process.
Well, you figure you want them to answer the questions.
Well, you have to establish how the demon got permission. You have to establish who the demon is. You got to make sure that the possessed can understand you.
But what do you mean by permission? Like, who would be like, hey, check it out, this demon's going to live inside me, make me throw up and do horrible things?
Well,
come on in.
We'll get to that.
You're the next contestant on The Price is Right. No.
We will get to that because it's surprising how you can become possessed. It's a lot easier than you might think.
Okay.
You might
and
hope.
they say that like when people play with the Ouija board, that's how the demon gets into your house because you've sort of opened the door for it or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
but that's not the only way. There's multiple ways. So
So make sure you lock your doors or a demon's gonna sneak in.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yes, you got to lock your spiritual doors for sure.
There we go.
So
by wearing a chastity belt.
Well, of course.
I've got one on right now.
So when Seige understood Latin and could respond to the questions, that was one of the signs.
That's amazing.
Now, he wouldn't respond in Latin. I found a lot of newspaper articles that said that he spoke fluent Latin. He did not, according to Geminer.
That's straight from Father Geminer.
Yes.
And we know we're butchering the name.
I'm sorry. Sorry for butchering the name.
Whatever, he's dead.
But he might still hear us. Have mercy.
He's going to haunt us now.
Yes, that's right.
Awesome.
Or it'll be a demon pretending to be him.
Oh, even worse.
Oh man, I shouldn't have opened my spiritual doors.
That's right. So yeah, the fact that he could respond to questions, even though he responded to them, according to Geminer, always in his native tongue, which was German. So he understood the questions in Latin, but Germiner never witnessed him speaking in Latin.
So it was. So if we were watching this in a movie, it'd be like the Exorcist meets some kind of World War II movie.
That's right.
Because like one guy's talking in a horror movie, the other guy's talking in a World War II movie.
Well, the
Jawohl.
interesting thing is, Germiner said in his book that that's often the case where the possessed will understand the questions in whatever language,
Okay.
Greek or Latin, but will respond only in their native tongue because it's thought that the devil is using what you have in your brain already. So if you don't know that language, it kind of, you don't have the organs to speak it.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, so that's what was his theory anyway. Now,
So the devil can hear. Like the devil can hear, and he can, but he has
he's
to
working through you.
So the devil just works with what he can work with.
Yes.
Okay,
That's right.
I like that.
And
I don't know
number
if
three.
I like that, but I guess it works for me.
So number 3 is aversion to sacred objects. So aversion to anything sacred. So it could be religious objects, holy places, or blessed items. And so Carl, unlike other possessed persons, could actually hold a crucifix until he was completely overtaken by the demon during exorcism.
So Carl wasn't scared. Like a vampire is gonna be scared by crucifix, right?
Right, but some possessed people are. They do have an aversion.
Okay,
like
not the girl from The Exorcist.
Right, but even
Remember that part?
yeah, but other people that I've researched, they couldn't even like be in church because that would have adverse reaction. They would have an adverse reaction to being in the
extreme.
church. So now number 4 was supernatural strength. Now I can't find any reference to that being reported by witnesses to Carl's exorcism, but it does seem like something interesting was subduing the strength of the demon. So something else was present.
Okay, so it's like Carl's demon brought friends.
Well, no, it seemed like something else was there helping the exorcists because so Carl would be holding this crucifix, right? And then they'd go into the prayers of exorcism and then he'd be overtaken by the demon and the demon's like, I got this cross in my hand, this crucifix, and he'd try to throw it. And
Okay.
he wouldn't be able to. It would like stick to, he'd have his hand open trying to shake it off. It would stick to him like glue.
Okay, maybe that was Dr. Quinnen's work. No, what I
Dr.
mean,
Quinney.
like Dr. Quinney, like
Yeah.
it's like okay, there's the power of Jesus, and like the Native American spirits show up and party with him too.
Maybe. Or it could be something like St. Michael. So St. Michael, the archangel, is supposed to be the angel that you can call upon during exorcisms. And like during the 1949 case that inspired the Exorcist book and movie, the priest reported hearing, and other witnesses as well, reported hearing the voice of St. Michael before the exorcised boy was released by the demon.
Oh, that's interesting. Now the thing about the angels, though, is that angels were never people, right?
I don't think so.
That's the whole idea.
I'm no expert.
But right, but the idea is that angels are not like you don't die and become an angel.
No,
Like angels were created by God separately.
That's
than
right.
Humans, and the devil was an angel.
that's right. He's
Michael-
a fallen angel.
Okay, all right. Just because I was like, because you can think of a saint, you think of someone who
Right.
was alive and
I
did a
think-
whole bunch of sainted
Yeah, they
things.
call him Saint Michael the Archangel.
Okay.
And so the thing about him is he can be called on during exorcisms, and maybe that was happening in this case. Because like in the 1949 case, which is, there's a lot on that, but it's too much to go into today. But the significant part is that the priest and other witnesses reported hearing the Archangel Michael addressing the demon directly.
Okay. What did he say?
Well, get out, essentially.
Like, hey, pal,
Yeah.
you're not welcome here.
Right.
Like,
So
You
you can get help from angels that they can come through and participate in the ritual. So what was happening here with Carl is like the priest would command him because Carl would like all of a sudden get up, and they didn't have him like tied up or anything.
Mm-hmm.
He would be kneeling, and then he'd all of a sudden get up and refuse to kneel, and then the priest would command him to kneel down, and it was like something pushed him down.
Oh, wow.
And that happened repeatedly.
okay. So let's go over the 4 signs of possession again. So if you think
Yeah.
you're possessed, Number one, if you're psychic and you know the unknowable. Number two, if they can speak a language that you don't understand or understand it.
Yeah, you've never studied that language, and
Okay.
suddenly you can speak it.
Number three, if when you touch a crucifix, you burst into flames, you might be possessed.
Right.
And number four, if you have supernatural strength.
Right. And you don't have to have all of these, but you at least have to have like a couple of them.
So before you tell me you think you're possessed, go over the 4 signs.
Most have 1 and 2 and probably 3.
And if you have supernatural strength, I want you to come over to my house because I have a whole bunch of furniture I could use
You
help
can
move
help
in.
me move, yes.
And we need
Right.
you at the next Sunspot show to help load in and load
Right.
out.
If we would love to take a possessed person on the road with us. Number one,
Oh my gosh, could you imagine?
to operate the merch.
Why don't you buy anything? Why aren't you buying things?
Yeah, demons are persistent. And they
Yeah.
just, they will not let you be.
Put money in the guitar case. Money in the guitar case.
So, okay, if you have supernatural strength and you're very persistent, we got a spot for you in the van.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
So there's a couple of things about this case that really just scared me. Really, it was different than what I thought about exorcisms.
Okay, so what's so special about Carl Seige and the
So,
demon?
well, firstly, you don't officially have to allow a demon to come in. You don't have to say, "Welcome, demon." I'm
Okay.
looking for a sublet. You don't have to.
Right.
You don't have to
Looking
do
for a
that. You don't have to
subletter.
advertise. You don't have to go to some satanic ritual. Nope.
Okay.
You don't have to do that at all. Because, like you were saying, Wendy, according to the Catholic Church, you can open yourself up to possession if you play the Ouija board, if you read your horoscope, or if you record a paranormal podcast.
Oh man.
What? Wait a minute.
Okay.
Or if you invite ghosts to come at me, bro.
Like Zach Baggins.
Yeah.
No way.
Let's see what you got, Ghosty. Come at me, bros.
Yeah. So essentially everything we do.
Right. Okay. So
But
if
you can invite them in without even really knowing that you're inviting them in, right?
Absolutely.
Ooh, that's
and then,
scary.
And then sin can also invite them in, like, too much pizza,
Uh-oh.
gluttony, as you were saying.
the 7 deadly sins.
Which everyone does. Everyone has sin.
That fried cheese.
Right. Okay. Now,
Yep.
the one that surprised me the most, though, was probably that you can be bewitched.
Oh, but she was so cute.
Yeah. Well,
Remember she wiggled her nose?
not in Carl's case.
Wait, was that Bewitched or was that I Dream of Jeannie? With nose wiggle? That was
That's
Bewitched.
bewitched.
Right? She wiggles the nose
That's
and then
right.
something happened?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, I loved her.
So the fact is that somebody can curse you to become possessed.
That's not fair.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So let's go back to that duck with that duck egg with a pinhole in it. Let's
Yeah.
go back to that.
Okay,
You were
let's-
asking about that before.
Duck
Yeah.
hole with pin egg.
Yeah. So duck egg with a pinhole was a hex.
Okay.
That was some cursed item that had been placed there to be found.
Was it intended for the specific person or just for anyone to find?
I think
That's
it
a
was,
good question.
I think it was for the family because it was placed on their property.
Ouch.
All right.
I think
so
it was
worse.
placed by a neighbor because the demon possessing Carl revealed to Jeminer the name of the old German woman in his village who had cursed him.
Oh, man. What was it, Helga? God,
I don't know.
Helga's always caused that problem.
He didn't record that in the book. But and then other local cases I'm researching have the same element. The idea that the victims can be possessed through something physical.
Okay, so you just touch something.
Yeah. So
So Carl's little sister, I mean, she got the worst of it. So
Right.
Carl, it sucks to be possessed and everything. It sucks
Yeah.
to have your arm shriveled up. But Carl's little sister died.
and the dog had to be shot.
Right. And the dog had to be executed.
Terrible.
Yeah, right. And so the idea that something physical, you could just touch something that's cursed or eat food that somebody has hexed.
Oh man.
You know, that has come up again and again in the cases that I'm researching.
It all comes full circle to gluttony.
Right. And now we have to watch out every time we go to a party and we go back to the snack table. You got to wonder what's
because you don't know, is that food blessed? I don't think so.
Is this going to be the cursed Chex Mix?
Oh no.
Did someone make the sign of the cross over it? No.
I thought it was spicy.
You thought, yeah, it's full of satanic herbs. That's what it's full of.
It's full of the devil.
They might be tasty, but yeah, it's trouble. Now, the other thing was that I learned is that exorcisms aren't the one-shot deal that Hollywood makes them out to be.
Well, I thought that Hollywood was always right.
Oh, that's right.
Just like Google.
Yeah. Sadly, no.
Every time I look at Google, right, every time I look something up, I just believe the first thing I saw. Because on the internet, people wouldn't lie, right?
No.
Oh, yeah. So once you're possessed by demons, they usually come back. And you have to be exorcised repeatedly, sometimes throughout your whole life to receive any kind of peace. You can only, get some, temporary respite from possession.
Oh, God. So, it's like it goes into remission.
Right. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So did Carl Seige ever have to be exorcised again?
Well, that was the thing. When Jeminer was writing about it, he said that he was exorcised before. And Jeminer had to come in and exorcise him again. And there's even more reports that I found that suggest that he had to be exorcised
multiple times.
Yeah, subsequently by others.
Oh, man. So Carl Seige never got... Did they ever get a name for the demon?
Well, that I don't know. I'm still looking for that.
Okay. If the name is Bob or something like that, that'd be great.
Well, I gotta say,
possessed by...
I was
Jack.
I was hoping for Beelzebub because in most of the cases I'm researching, it's Beelzebub.
Is that
Just to let that out? I mean, that is a cool name. You got to give it to him on that one. But I was looking for the trifecta. I got a couple of cases where it's Beelzebub, and I'm like, okay, come on, Beelzebub, and I don't know yet.
I'm always interested in the name ever since the Chicago Ghost Conference when the priest who did the exorcisms on those boys in Indiana.
Right. He wouldn't reveal the name.
And he wouldn't reveal the name. And I even asked Darkness Dave from Darkness Radio when we were all drinking at that party the next day. I was like, come on, man. You got to tell me the name. Because I don't buy it. I don't believe it. To me, exorcism, I believe that there might be something spiritual to it, but I don't believe that there are demons hunting for us and their names and things like that. And that a name is that powerful.
Well, let's hope not. But it's scary when you find all this stuff in history. You kind of wonder.
So I'm always interested, what the name is since then, because the guy said, I won't reveal the name. And that to me is a very, that's a primitive, not primitive in a negative way, but it's a primitive human form of religion. The idea that if you have something's true name, you have the power over them.
Right.
That's Rumpelstiltskin, right?
Yeah, I think so.
No, Rumpelstiltskin. I'm thinking of Rapunzel. No, Rumpelstiltskin, you had to guess the name. And if she guessed his name, he'd leave her alone. Right?
Oh,
I think
that's
so.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's Rumpelstiltskin. That's also Mr. Mitzelplick from Superman. The only way you could get rid of Mr. Mitzelplick is to make him say his name backwards.
Oh, and that played prominently in the TV show Angel, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer
wow.
spinoff. Yeah, they had something they had to get rid of, and they had to know the name.
Okay. So I'm always interested in the names.
So,
and I know I'm setting myself up here when I say I don't believe in demons, but I just am. There's so many things to be afraid of in this world that I'm going to put a demon down on the list.
Well, I don't know. I've been watching a lot of movies about possession. I watched The Rite, which figures into some of the research that I've done, and
well,
I don't know.
Let's go into this because in just a month or September 23rd,
right?
Fox is going to reboot The Exorcist as a TV show.
Right.
Whoa.
That's right, with Gina Davis.
That's right. So I'm going to watch that for sure. But what I was saying is, so I've been watching a lot of stuff and thinking about demons, and I've been wondering,
as you do,
and I've been wondering if demons are really as bad as they're chalked up to be. I mean, I know they're bad, and I should say that. Speaking of setting yourself up,
right? Just getting a bad rap.
Yeah.
No, what I mean by that is perhaps they're in league with God.
What you
going
mean-
back to our Yazidi episode.
What you mean by that is you want a demon to possess you.
No.
Mike.
Nope, absolutely don't.
Do you
Be
guys
gone,
hear
demon.
that out there?
Get behind me, demon. That's what you're supposed to say according to Malachi Martin. Get behind me, demon. Or get behind me, demon. Get behind me, devil. But I don't know about you, but I'd like to keep the devil where I can see him. I don't want him sneaking up behind. But yeah, that's part of a prayer. Get behind me. So but it's just this idea that demons, maybe they're trying to bring you to God.
Okay, let's go with that for a second.
We talked about the Yazidi back in, I don't know, long time ago. I
Yes,
don't know what episode that was.
Over a year ago now, we talked about the Yazidi, and they're a group of people in Iraq
Right.
who don't believe that they believe that the devil got back together with God.
Yeah, that the devil's reconciled,
Like
and they call him the peacock angel.
Yeah, and they broed out, and they figured it out, and
Right.
and now the devil and
They
God.
hugged it out.
Yeah,
That's right.
The devil and God are cool again.
Which I love. I love that idea of
It does
that
sound nice.
ultimate reconciliation.
So why do you think?
And
Peace and
redemption.
harmony.
Yeah. So why do you think that demons might be working for JC?
Well, I hate to spoil the right. Well, I don't know if this spoils it, but
It's like a 15-year-old movie, and it wasn't
it's
even that good.
2011.
Oh, really?
And it's pretty good.
Oh, I thought it was like 10 years.
Yeah, I was surprised at how good it was. But anyway, so I saw that, and the character, the principal character in the movie, he's really struggling with his faith, and so the demon possessing his friend actually is what brings him to God, and because the demon or the devil, or it happens to be a ball in this case. It's not Beelzebub this time.
Ball
But
with
it-
2 A's.
Yeah, that's right. Wow, you're good. So
I know my demon
and
names.
there's an apostrophe in there too, I think.
Ball.
Anyway, so the ball wants this character to believe in him, and of course, when the character believes in him, he's gonna believe in God too.
Yeah,
So that was the whole trick.
That's what Christopher St. Booth said. He's like, well, if you're going to have because we was talking about exorcism, he's like, well, if you got to believe the devil, then you got to believe in God.
Well, so that was the kind of the trick of it to me. It was like Ball doesn't know that. If he's like so obsessed with getting the priest to believe in him, this would-be priest to believe in him, that, the belief in God isn't going to come right after that. I mean,
Yeah,
so to
right.
me, it's like maybe the demons are trying to bring people to God.
But in the process, somebody gets seriously hosed, though.
Oh, yeah.
The person
Yeah.
who's possessed.
Yeah, there's lots of bad stuff.
If you're the dude getting possessed, like your life sucks.
Right.
Right.
Like, oh, okay.
It's not a nice way to get back to God, but it's a way.
Yeah, he works in mysterious ways.
That's right.
And so some of the ways he works is making your life crappy. Well, like a Job
Right, Job?
or Lot.
Yep.
He's turning people's wives into salt and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
if we're
he's gonna be the
talking
business.
if we're talking about the Old Testament God, his ways are very mysterious.
That's right.
Because
What
the
was
Old
that?
Testament God hates you.
What was that song,
The
Mike?
vengeful and angry God.
Yes, one of my favorite
That-
songs.
That's a beautiful one.
That's a Mike exclusive.
So the Exorcist TV show, September 23rd, that's coming out. And we'll probably talk more about that when we get closer to the date. We'll probably cover the original Exorcism that the Exorcist book was based
Right,
on.
and
that William Peter Blatty did.
actually, there's two of them. So there's one that's well known in 1949.
That's the one in
but-
St. Louis, right?
Yes, but there's another one that I'm researching because it has local connections. Come see me at the Milwaukee Paranormal Conference to learn more.
Right.
So there's a second one that I don't know why more people don't know about it, but it's from 1928. And a lot of the more dramatic stuff, like the levitations and the pea soup, come from that case.
And that case is Wisconsin-based.
There are some Wisconsin connections, yes.
There's
Oh,
always a Wisconsin
yeah.
connection when it comes to the devil.
Right. There's some good Wisconsin connections in
All
that
right.
case.
Well, we'll have to
that
get
are going to be surprising, and a lot of cases I learned about through researching that case.
Okay. When we get closer to the TV show, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. So you were talking before about how all this stuff seems so primitive or seems old fashioned.
Well, yeah.
And like the idea of exorcism, even in old newspaper articles that I was reading about Carl Seige from the 1800s. People in the newspaper articles were saying that, exorcism was old hat. Like, how can we still believe this kind of thing?
Well, that's a really good question.
Right. So today, what's going on with exorcisms? Oh, man. It's not over.
Whoa. All right.
I think exorcisms are the next big thing.
Yeah. And it's been building. I think before The Rite came out, there was a book called The Rite, the making of a modern exorcist in 2010. That's what the movie was based on. But I'm going to read that book because it's not exactly the same.
Sure.
But there had been movements in the Catholic Church around that time to train more exorcists. That's how the book came about. Because
and we're talking about 2010.
Right,
we're
2010.
We're not talking about the year 210. We're talking about the year 2010.
And that's how the author of the book and the priest who the character is based on in the Rite movie met. They met at an exorcism class in Rome. So I thought you had to go to Rome to learn that, but you don't. And
wait, so what do you mean you don't have to go to Rome?
Well, okay, so let me just go through this. So first I read this article about modern exorcists from 2014. And it talked about like how possession is on the rise, and there's this effort by the Catholic Church. Almost said chocolate church.
Yummy.
Chocolate church. I got that gluttony thing going on.
I'd like to be
dogging me.
I'd like to be confirmed in the chocolate church.
Me too. Anyway, so the Catholic Church. So this article 2014. It's about the Catholic Church and their effort to train 50 exorcists and possibly to get an exorcist for every diocese. And it was an article from an Iowa paper, but it talked about where this Iowa priest was going to get trained.
Well, have you been to Iowa lately?
No.
Yeah, it's the devil's everywhere.
But anyway, where was he getting trained? Well, he was getting trained by the Milwaukee-based Pope Leo XIII Institute. There is a Milwaukee-based institute that trains exorcists that is Catholic-based.
Well, how do we sign up?
Well, you can't.
Like, is there there's an online register or something?
Because you have to be a priest.
Okay, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, you're not going to get it in then. So here I thought you had to go all the way to Rome to become an exorcist, and then I find in my own hometown there's an institute which trains priests to do that very thing. Now, the actual training takes place about an hour away from Milwaukee in Illinois.
How do they do it though? Do they have to get a possessed person? Like, how do you bring in, because
maybe an actor.
Yeah, because you would think there would have to be some on the job training.
Yeah, but think about when you get trained to be like a Red Cross first responder. They don't have you do CPR on a real person.
There's like a possessed dummy.
Maybe. I mean, I'm just saying, like, they have ways of training people for situations without actually being in. Yeah.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah. So, let's just say I'm shocked that you can get trained so close to home.
Yeah.
And so I visited the seminary where you can get trained to be an exorcist. It's called the University of St. Mary of the Lake, and it's also known as the Mundelein Seminary. It's in Mundelein, Illinois. And I visited there this week where they just happened to have their annual exorcist conference.
Oh, man.
Exciting.
That had to be the most spiritually safe place in the United States for the week. Can you imagine? Like the demons are man.
I went right there.
They're all in one place for the week. Like they did it in August because that's when the demons are on vacation.
Yeah, they like to
They like to go
get away just like we all do.
They like to go someplace a little hotter.
Absolutely. So I was surprised that this conference was going on. I had intended to go to this seminary because they have some books that I can't get anywhere else. So I kind of staked out the parking lot.
Like Spirits of Darkness. Did you find Spirits of Darkness there?
Well, yes, but that is also at the St. Francis Seminary. Because remember, it was written by a professor from St. Francis.
But you
St. Francis Seminary.
You can't find like Spirits of Darkness on Amazon or anything like that.
No. You have to go to seminary libraries.
That's the one thing you cannot find on Amazon is Spirits of Darkness.
I was so surprised. They have this whole huge area in the library that has all kinds of books on parapsychology and every weird book that you can think of on demons and ghosts and stuff like that.
Cool.
At the
That's
seminary
awesome.
library. So of course I staked out the parking lot just in case some of the exorcists would come out.
Do they have like, do exorcists have like badass bumper stickers? and
No,
things
we
like
did-
that?
we did-
Like, I take on the devil.
We did look for those.
Pow.
We did look for those. Yeah, you can't scare me. I'm an exorcist. But we did see license plates from all over the country and in the parking lot that day.
Any
Boy,
sweet,
you were
like,
really doing your due diligence with the detective.
Right.
work
wasn't
there,
she?
Allison.
And
Nice
so it was
work.
hanging out. None of them came out though.
but there was nothing on the license plates like devil killer, like DEVLKLR or STNBSTR, like
the sin-
Satan Buster.
Isn't that like the sin of pride? So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, right. They got to keep it on the down
That's
low.
true.
Anyway, so I went there, and of course, I'm sad to say that I didn't see any actual living exorcist. I just met with some dead ones. There
Okay.
were some literature written by some dead exorcists that I could only get there at the Mundelein
Okay.
Seminary Library. So that's why I went. But I went during the time that they had the conference just in case.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, I was really excited too because Gary Thomas, who's the actual priest, who the rite, the making of a modern exorcist was written about, was the guest speaker
Okay.
at the conference.
So like a celebrity exorcist.
Right. And I was like specifically looking
exciting.
for him to take a selfie with him, I
like a
don't know
rock
if
star.
he'd allow that, but he was kind of the rock star of the conference, like the keynote speaker
Okay.
was Gary Thomas,
That's-
Father Gary Thomas.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And you guys would know all about these exorcist news stories that are all over the web right now if
Yeah.
you subscribe to the See You on the Other Side newsletter. Anybody that subscribes to that, we send out the best 5 paranormal stories every week. And there had to be, I'd say in the past couple months, maybe like 6 or 7 possession stories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And you should check out the Milwaukee Record because so what happened was I was so excited that I was going to go to this place that was having this exorcist conference.
And
So I just couldn't hold it in.
Of course you would be excited about
Yeah.
it.
And so I was like, I got to tell T from the Milwaukee Paranormal Conference. And he was like, can I write an article about it for a Milwaukee Record? And I'm like, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So we'll link to that article in the show notes because
And
it tells more.
It was already in last week's newsletter.
Oh,
Yeah, so the people listening, if they're on
okay.
the
They're already got
if they're on
it.
the list, we'll link to it. But the thing is, you could have already read it before you even knew about this. You know exactly what we were talking about if you subscribe to the See You on the Other Side newsletter.
Right, it's-
just saying.
Because there's reading. There's required reading.
You can also find that link and links to other things we've talked about at othersidepodcast.com/105.
Right. And I just want to encourage everybody to come to the Milwaukee Paranormal Conference.
If you're in there, well, we're
Yeah.
gonna devote more time to there.
Yeah,
as
I'm
we get
gonna
closer.
I'm gonna be kicking it off with my Milwaukee Fortiana 2, and you're gonna hear all
Yay.
about local exorcisms and other weirdness, of course.
Well, Wendy Lynn and I are going to be interviewing Katrina from Paranormal Lockdown,
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
and we're also going to be performing at the Ravens Ball on Saturday night.
Right.
So there's gonna be a lot of fun to be had at the Milwaukee Paranormal Conference. We want to see you guys out there, and but if you're not in the Milwaukee area, then we want you to visit us at othersidepodcast.com/105, where you can read more about this, see our pictures, and just have more fun with us. So thank you for joining us today, Allison.
Oh, thank you. It was
thanks,
my
Allison.
pleasure.
Thanks for sharing all of your findings. It's pretty exciting stuff.
And I hope I scared you.
Yes, you did.
You
Be
definitely
afraid.
did.
Be
Thank you.
very afraid.
Well, this is exciting that we had an exorcism in Watertown in 1870 that most people don't know about, and it has all of the hallmarks of a classic exorcism.
That's right.
Where can people find you, Allison?
You can find me at MilwaukeeGhosts.com and make sure to put the S after ghost. MilwaukeeGhosts.com, because if we just had one ghost, we wouldn't have much to talk about.
It'd be a pretty boring place.
I think this podcast proves we're chock full of weirdness in Milwaukee.
One of the cornerstones of demonic possession is self-harm. There's even a case in the Bible where Jesus encounters a possessed man cutting himself with stones. This Sunspot song, Mercy of Myth, is about all the ways that we punish ourselves because we feel guilty and bad about things. and about how punishing yourself needlessly isn't worth it, because not only does it make you feel bad, it also opens you up to demonic possession. Here's Sunspot with Mercy of Myth.
There is a hell we hold within. Can't forgive yourself for the things you did. A hair shirt and a bottle won't let you forget. Consequently, rear entry is all that we're left with. We camouflage our sabotage and lay at the mercy of men. Compass even worse than crack. You don't need a sheepskin to know that. Even after cutting, nail biting, hair pulling and spiting, all your shame is still toxic. Consequently, rear entry is all that we're left with. We camouflage our sabotage and lay at the mercy of men. I'll abandon ship on this guilt trip and let it drown. Need some clemency from self-pity and burn it out. Burn it out. I'll abandon ship on this guilt trip and let it drown. Need some clemency from self-pity and burn it out. I'll abandon ship on this guilt trip and let it drown. Need some clemency from self-pity and burn it out. Burn it out. Burn it out. Burn it
Thank you for listening to today's episode. You can find us online at OthersidePodcast.com. Until next time, see you on the other side.
Put money in the guitar case.
Money in the guitar case.